Salutations, you spoopy head. It is I, Dave Makes Noises. Welcome to MrRipper. Today, we're asking the community what their most horrifying moments in D&D have been. So beware, because the human imagination is a terrifying place to be sometimes. And go. Has there ever been an event in a D&D campaign where you felt your heart sink to the pit of your stomach, where you start to sweat, where chills creep down your spine? Did the DM or player create something within the world that was so horrifying that you were impressed and scared of what they did? For me, it's usually at the end of sessions where our DM goes full-on spooky cliffhanger at us. Let me give you some examples of events that have scared us silly and shout, at the same time. Campaign 1. The time when the big bad evil guy raised a mountain from the ground to fight for him. That mountain turned out to be a colossal earth giant that we tried and failed to fight. When the bard revealed to the group that he had no soul, he literally sold it to the devil. In this instance, a purple tiefling named Debbie. When the big bad evil guy raised a kraken to fight at his side during the final battle. When, in my first character, Fiend Warlock's epilogue, he started vomiting black, viscous liquid. This was, as seen before in the campaign, not a good sign. When that same character revealed to the rogue/druid that he was the one that set in motion the killing of parents. Both me and my DM like to sprinkle trauma with more trauma. Campaign 2, when an ancient green dragon erupted from the city of Bridgewater that we again should have fought. Our Thrakeen/Antfolk Ranger did, but the rest of us ran to the edge of the city in terror. When our current artificer lifted the hood of an associate of the big bad evil guy to find a future version of herself staring back. So have there been any moments that have caused you to quake in genuine fear? There were multiple situations where our party ventured into the underground library of Ilmir. Our DM told us it would reach 200 kilometers in depth, meaning it has an actual but locked connection to the Underdark. During our time there, we faced a few opponents who were frightening as hell. For example, an Archivar who had the ability to penetrate our mind and flood it with information, dealing 5d10 psych damage. We were level 6 at that point. Our monk was almost one-shotted by this ability since he failed his intelligence saving throw, but one could get information about one thing they want to know. Next was when we entered an area that was an obscure version of MC Escher's House of Stairs, and to make it even more dangerous, there were some kind of mirror ghosts that tried to distract us, either getting lost in the labyrinth or falling down the narrow stairways, which almost happened to our barbarian because he thought it was a good idea to go on his own. Luckily, me, the wizard, found out that we were being fooled and attacked those creatures who then floated away in panic. But the library in general was scary as hell, and our guide told us that the Archmages of Ilmir are currently trying to secure one level after another. They even got 2 iron golems to guard the entrance, so nothing would come up that easily. Something I had set up recently as the DM which terrified even me. The party had arrived at a city by a lake, which was quite odd. Everybody had to be indoors before sundown, and there were no windows in the direction of the lake. I then introduced an NPC who said the lake held a secret related to the gods, and that she wanted the party to help her distract the innkeeper and unlock the inn door to step outside. They succeeded, and she stepped outside and turned towards the lake. That's when the terror started. A PC was closest to the door and watched the NPC's face washed with blue light as she looked at something from the lake. She commented about how beautiful it was. Suddenly, the blue light turned red, and the NPC's hair started to turn gray from the roots down, from the pure horror of what she was seeing, shakily saying, "No, no, no," over and over as she fell to her knees. No spells, no magic, just pure terror of the cosmic truth the NPC just witnessed. As a DM, I've built up a bit of a habit of tormenting my players. In one campaign, one of my players was playing a fighter who had made a mistake leading her squad and gotten them all killed. So at night, she would have nightmares about the friends she lost. One of those nightmares was her hanging out at the tavern they used to hang out at after a successful mission. Her best friend and second in command was sitting next to her, talking to her, and started asking her why she let her die. As she turned to look at the PC, her face was rotting and dead flesh. The best friend started to go on about, "We could have been more than friends, but you threw everything away for a man who never loved you," and other things about how it was the PC's fault for letting them all get killed. One by one, her other squad mates in the tavern started slowly becoming zombies as well and started to shamble towards her. The second nightmare was similar. She woke up hearing voices and seeing 4 shadowy figures milling about the room. As each one spoke to her, she realized they were her father, mother, best friend, and the man she loved. They would approach her and say various things like, "You were never a good enough leader. How could I ever love such a failure? You ruined everything chasing a man who didn't care." As each shadow passed through her, she felt weaker and weaker until all 4 shadows attacked her at once and merged into her. She woke up and was barely able to breathe. The party found her and took her to a healer where she had to spend a week recovering from the shadows attacking her and knocking her strength down to 0. She later learned that the shadows were still a part of her, and the leader of the village the party lived in helped her learn to channel those shadows to become her echo, changing her from a battlemaster fighter to an echo knight fighter. In a different campaign, the party went to the capital city and found an area of ruins that were heavily guarded. One of the characters went inside the ruins and discovered why they were barricaded and guarded when an energy source within the ruins started to radiate unshielded energy. She immediately started to lose the ability to walk as the energy radiating from the ruins caused her nervous system to begin malfunctioning. This nearly resulted in a TPK when the party had to come in and rescue her and were all subsequently affected. They managed to get out when one member of the party was handed a shielding device by one of the guards, but another member ended up losing all function in her arm for a few days afterwards. The first big bad evil guy we had to fight was one of the most frightening things we had to fight. The big bad evil guy was just a home-brewed vampire king who was trying to basically use a teleporting crystal to summon the ultimate hero in a vampiric ritual that, as soon as the big hero teleported, he would turn into a vampire. The big bad evil guy was previously portrayed as slightly weaker than Ultimate Hero, so we basically had to survive legendary actions as we tried to get rid of the teleporting crystal without confronting him. The Aasimar in our group timed everything right and flew to a position to grab the crystal. However, they rolled a fucking nat 1. Critical failure in our session, plummeting to the ground and getting knocked out. Thank God the sorcerer was quick thinking, because right before the TPK, he used Misty Step to suicide grab the crystal out of the air and down himself, saving the world and summoning the big hero outside of the ritual. I was with my party when we decided to go home from a black market hidden from the Underdark. We entered a vehicle driven by an NPC that was going to take us home. After our DM made us roll for an encounter die, we rolled a 1, and suddenly something landed on top of our vehicle, and we got teleported to an area that's just floating platforms high in the sky. We were then greeted by an angel, while we are level 8. And she said she is here to kill our Mark of Finding human Gloomstalker Ranger. We ended up spending half our turns making dex saving throws to jump across the floating platforms with wind blowing around, strength saving throws to prevent ourselves from getting shoved off a platform by the boss angel, and of course surviving the spell attacks the boss angel is making while we fight back. We were already aware that we may be encountering illusionists, so at a risky attempt, I threw an object off of a platform and used the Locate Object spell, and discovered that it is still at my horizontal level. I then saw statues moving about the combat area and decided to pull out my modern shotgun and take aim at one of the statues. I critted, and one-shot one of the statues. It caused the entire setting to flicker like a glitching screen. The rest of my party caught on and hunted down the 2 other statues that we realized are trying to stay away from us. We ended the combat after destroying the statues and actually woke up from an illusion and saw the culprit, a statue of an angel. The horror didn't even end there, for the statue made one last attempt to kill us by summoning a piece of a giant castle to crash onto us, which would do 20 d10 damage if we get crushed by it. Our variant human Twilight cleric fled using Steps of Night. I escaped with our Eladrin Elven Chronergy wizard with her Dimension Door, and our Mark of Finding human Gloomstalker ranger was not able to escape and got KO'd. Luckily, our wizard had another spell slot for another Dimension Door to bring me back to our ranger for me to stabilize him with Cure Wounds. We finally went home afterward, shaken. TLDR, we wanted to go home after a visit to the black market and got ambushed by an angel illusionist while we were level 8. So the oh shit was not from the players, but from the DM in this case. Just got off a session where we're starting on a lead to get one of the MacGuffins. During said session, the party was with our boss discussing how to potentially be rid of the MacGuffins. The moment is as follows. What would my character know about magical items? Like what? Like the effect of putting a bag of holding into another bag of holding. The entire party and the DM go silent. One of the party members, in absolute horror, are we suggesting that we put the MacGuffins in a black hole? Long story short, DM, respectfully and totally within reason, states that my character would not know how this would work, but it was worth it to hear the sheer horror in everyone's voices at my suggestion. Hello, my dazzling Danishes of densified star stuff and infinite consciousness, and thank you for attuning your tendrils of cosmic wisdom to our frequency for the entire duration of this video. If you've got a bone-chilling, horrifying moment from your campaign that you'd like to share with the community, please feel free to do so in the comments section below. And if you've got another story you'd like to share with us, please join us in our official subreddit, r/MrRipper, where we are always looking for stories like yours to turn into videos like this. If you're a DM or a player who happens to be looking for a group to play with, you may want to check out MrRipper's Group Finder, a Discord server we put together to help you find a group. As well, we have expanded into the TikTok universe after a year of nagging and bothering and prodding and otherwise poking Rip Daddy. He has been convinced to join us on TikTok. So please follow our new official TikTok, MrRipper D&D. That's DND, as in the letter, not the and. That's MrRipper D&D on TikTok. I hope this week that you eat well. I've been Dave Makes Noises. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Dave Makes Noises. You have been such a peach. Thank you again for watching. Please sub for Nat 20s. Ring that bell for inspiration. Be well, and we'll see you next time.